Spooky. So spooky. The music was so spooky. It was the most spookiest music I've ever heard in my life. It was up there as top five spookiest things. Also, I just want to quickly make a couple announcements as we start today. As the person that has to click the go live button, I forgot. Absolute fucking amateur hour over here. Like, I was watching the thing. I'm like, why aren't we live? There's like a massive button at the top right of the page. It's like, would you like to go live? It's like, you're scheduled to go live now. And I was like, oh shit, I have to push that thing. Damn. Like, oh, so that's why it starts. We're like 3 minutes late. That's where we're at. Also this week, we were meant to have an intro, if I'm not mistaken, Hunter.
Oh, dude. Yeah. I can still sing one. Huntz and Duncan. Just
okay, wait, hang on. Okay.
I can't hear you.
Oh, I said sing us an intro. I'm going to leave, okay? Then you can sing us an intro. Okay. 3, 2.
Huntz and Dunks just talking shit. Huntz and Dunks drinking beer. Huntz and Dunks, they don't know shit. What the fuck? Woohoo!
Love it. Absolutely. I'd subscribe to that. I'd legitimately subscribe to your OnlyFans just to hear you sing that song. Yeah. That gets a thumbs up from me. Nice. Okay, how's it going, dude? Like, we're back. We're back in business.
Lacquer, bro. Yeah, man, it's always lacquer. Good to see you. I'm jealous of your new studio gear.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, look, if we're going to do this, we might as well do it properly. Like, we have to make it at least look like we're doing something semi-professionally. It's sweet. I'm feeling good. I just want to say also another massive shout out to you because it's finally time. I've been drinking Mad Giant lagers for the past 2 episodes, but yesterday, not bad. But yesterday afternoon, at my gate, I got a little cheeky. Somebody rang the bell and dropped off a big box, and I was like, "What could this possibly be? I haven't ordered anything." And my dear friend Hunter got me an entire case of the good stuff of Volkov Lager.
So, it's actually cheers. Sonia, but I'll take the credit for it.
Okay, well, Sonia, thanks very much. Cheers. Here we go. I'm reaching over to your side. Yeah. Okay. Boom. Okay. Cool. Thank you. Yeah. No. So I've got it. Clinks. Yeah. So I've got it. Thank you very much for this. On the topic of this, later on, we're going to be giving away a bunch of shit. So stay tuned for that. That's going to be at the end of the podcast. So if you like winning stuff, you're not going to win anything for the next 45 minutes to an hour. That's only at the end. So you can skip the entire podcast and then skip to the end if you're listening to this pre-record or post-recorded. This is live right now. We're live. I don't know what I'm saying. How
many of those beers have you had today?
4 now. Like before I just started here. I was very nervous. I'm nervous, Hunter. Okay. Because we've got a very weird topic. You've gone and done like a damn load of research this past couple of weeks, and I like it. I like it when you do lots of research because there it is. Boom. Episode 3. It says it loud and proud. So you sent me a message sending, okay, I want to tackle this thing called OOPArt, and I was like, what the goddamn is OOPArt?
Yeah.
Please start us at the start of OOPArt.
Well, yeah, it's basically what it says. It's out of place artifacts, right? But it kind of comes down to things that are found historically or archaeologically that don't fit into our current sort of academic understanding of how civilization or human history has gone from the beginning to now.
So would it be just a random thing? So is this, I'm going to try and get as layman as I can on myself here. Is this a situation where like they find copper tools, but they're like dated to like the Stone Age? Like why is a copper age tool in the Stone Age? Or like, is that sort of, am I on the right track?
Yeah, it is something like that. I mean, there are weirder ones. We're not necessarily going to discuss all of them. Like a lot of these things are for like creationist conspiracy theorists. So there will be like a hammer in 4 million year old rock or something like that, and they'd be like, okay, humans and dinosaurs roamed the earth together, so the Bible is right. You know what I mean? That kind of shit. And there's a spark plug. There's a spark plug in a rock. Yeah, you know what I mean? That kind of shit. But I'm not talking about any of that shit because there's actually normal explanations for a 1940 spark plug in a rock. You know.
Okay, no. What I want this explanation. Yeah, hang on. No, whoa, hang on.
No, yeah, why is there like it?
You can't just listen. I don't know this stuff, so you can't just assume that I know things. I'm dumb as when it comes to the subject. So I want to know, like, why is that 1940 spark plug?
No, it's just they thought it was rock, but it was actually just the rust that accumulated so much over like 80 years that inside all of the rust there was the spark plug. So it seems exciting. Like on the surface of things, but
that's really not okay. I got you. But like, here's the thing.
Coming in not.
I just want to say, like, I read, like, when I googled this for the first time, why is it like a picture of a cell phone? Like it's like a rock cell phone. Surely that isn't a real thing. Like, hang on, I just want to. No, so I want to see if I'm right. So I went OOPArt. Like literally, it's the first picture you pick out. I just want to bring the screen up now. Like it's legitimately the first thing that you get, that cell phone. Like that's really like I was like, surely not, bro. No, surely some caveman wasn't rocking out with like a 3210 Nokia. Like let's be serious for a minute here. What is this, bro? Hang on a second, yeah. Like it's a hoax. Okay. Wow, we all fell for the 800. Okay, fair enough. But I mean, like, that was my.
I like that headline though, as well. Why we all fell for? Like, I mean,
yeah. I don't care. I didn't fall for it because I was like, what is this? What is this bullshittery that you're trying to teach us here? Right. So, like, where is it that you think we should start in this long venture of OOPArt?
Yeah, I'm gonna try and keep it short and punchy. Let's see. I thought we should maybe just. Kind of give each of ours renditions of how the world started or what your idea is of history.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Oh my God! Are you actually going to ask me how I think everything started? Oh my!
No, but I mean, no. I don't want your idea on creation or whatever. I just mean, in my mind, it's like for millions of years, it was just soup. Water or some shit, and then animals, and then people.
No, bro, it's that song from the Big Bang Theory's like introduction. Our whole universe was in a hot, dense state that nearly 14 billion years ago expansion started. The earth began to cool, the autotrophs began to drool, Neanderthals developed tools, we built a wall, built the pyramids. Mad science history, unraveling the mystery that all started with the Big Bang.
Nice, dude. That's pretty close. That's pretty
Thanks. Good. I don't know how I know all those lyrics. I obviously watched way too much of that show.
We can maybe skip a few of these intro videos then. I mean, you basically covered it.
Thank you. Okay, cool. So carrying on. Look, we just cut out half an hour of the podcast with one theme song.
I mean, that's pretty straightforward.
So I want to get this thing keeps auto-focusing. Here, look at my hand. Now look at me. Back to the hand. Yeah. Okay. So where do you want to start with this whole thing? Because you've sent me a bunch of literature and movies and videos and things.
I sent you some stuff. I mean, that just kind of explains. So there's obviously a few ways to date our human history, and archaeology is like one of them. So, for instance, 50 years ago, we maybe thought that hunter-gatherers started farming 4,000 years ago, and then they find something else, and then that date is pushed back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
We basically start things like that when we find something to prove that it was that old. And there are a few ways of dating that stuff. Can't remember all of it. Carbon dating, and that's like some kind of fucking fission shit. I don't really understand all that crap, but there's a few.
I love how I was so convinced that you were so prepared for this podcast, and then you come here with to end the sentence going, bro, with some fish and shit. Like,
no, I don't know how carbon dating really works. You know, it's like carbon 14 or whatever decays at a certain rate, and its half-life is some shit or whatever. All I'm saying, so that's one way of dating something, by actually finding it. But
right, isn't there like whatever you want to date, you just cut in half and you see how many rings there are, and that's how you count, like a tree. So if I cut you in half, I can count how many rings there are and be like hunters, the ripe old age of 36, 5, 8.
Yeah, no, that's true. With me, maybe. But yeah, so what is the other way? You can carbon date it, or you can, obviously our DNA has some clues to how we moved around the world, and they can trace it back to a certain point, common ancestors and that sort of shit. I don't really know. And a third way is obviously oral history. You know, if there's actually stories where people tell you what happened hundreds and thousands of years ago, or whatever the case might be.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Do you want to maybe click through some of those videos in one?
Well, the first one that you have, the first one, I'm not going to take that Kurtz gesagt one. I'm going to take this first one that you sent me. I think this was the first one that you sent through that I have no idea what it is. I legitimately didn't watch anything because I didn't want to sort of mar myself with things. I wanted to sit here with a fresh mind, ready to get knowledge.
Years before industry, agriculture, and civilization, the world stage was set for one creature's unprecedented rise.
Unprecedented rise.
The story of humanity's evolution began about 7 million years ago, when the human lineage broke away from that of chimpanzees. Over time...
You see, I already just want to stop there. Right there, by us watching this video, like, people are already going to go, bullshit. Like, we don't come from monkeys. We don't come from them. Look at me. I'm not an ape. Have you ever, by any chance, seen any like, thing to say that we aren't? Like, it's easy to just say we aren't. But, like, this stuff here blows my mind. Like, there has to be something there. Surely.
Yeah, of course, there's a lot of stuff.
Okay, I'm just going to keep watching. Sorry.
Like,
I'm not gonna...
human species or hominins came to the fore. Most became extinct, while others might have been ancestors to today's humans. Each species exhibited varying degrees of
because they can get sued if they're wrong.
Small teeth, bipedality, and tool use. These hominins fell into three major groups: early hominins, Australopithecines, and Homo genus.
So where are we there? Still 2 million years ago, 1 million years ago?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The humans are like about 1 million years ago or something.
Okay, so we come in like here.
Humanity's earliest relatives lived between 7 and 4.4 million years ago in Africa. Having most recently shared a common ancestor with chimpanzees, they had many...
I've heard something though. I heard that there's like been discoveries as well, that like everyone always says like Africa is where it all started. But isn't there also like a lot of stuff going on with like Asia being like there's like people are like saying, hang on a second, because in parts of Asia, obviously very like Southeast Asian, like in that zone, it's got a very similar climate to like that of Africa and a lot of places. So don't they say there could be like a lot of stuff there?
Yeah, man, I actually think this stuff could change at any point. Like I said, it would probably be because they either discovered some kind of skeletons or something maybe that proves that. But it kind of depends. Having read through all of this, people use early humans as a big thing. You know, I mean, it's a broad thing. They could mean Homo erectus and not humans like us.
Yeah.
I actually think humans like us is a lot closer. But yeah, I've also heard the stories from out of Australia, out of Southeast Asia, and I think a few thousand years ago, all of those things were connected. Actually,
I just want to say, like, I'm hella into this guy's mullet, yo. Homo sapiens mullet is up there, bro.
Embarked on a journey
out of Australia, bro. Straight out of Australia.
Yeah, bro. Homo sapiens was 110% a bogan. Like, he was 100% Australian. So okay, we've got that, right? But then you've now said, you've given us this thing here that we can also have a look at throughout we could just keep referencing back to it. So you got like a timeline here. So where is it that you want to sort of like jump in, like to this entire?
No, I just wanted to get a broad kind of perspective here. So, I mean, what they have here is 176,000 years ago is the earliest built constructions that they've obviously found, and that's Neanderthal. And I mean, to me, Neanderthals, it's not really us. It's like big us. I don't know if you've seen a Neanderthal.
Yeah, Neanderthals are like... Yeah, well, I haven't obviously seen one in real life. Like, I know I live in like the East Rand in Benoni, and a lot of people think that like there's actual Neanderthals living here. But no, I have seen like photographic picture makeup things of them.
And over here at 100,000 years ago, we have interbreeding of Homo sapiens with Homo neanderthalensis, which I guess is Neanderthals, which is pretty interesting. Interspecies breeding. But yeah, I'm trying to figure out. I mean, it's just such a long time for people to just be fucking around. 70,000 years.
But this is the one thing that I've always questioned about this, right? So, you know, like, okay, it's all cool to like say archaeological digs, but like how much land has gotten on top of things in like a million years? I mean, we can't, you know, I mean, we go and penetrate mines and stuff, but I mean, we sit and do like archaeological digs at like a certain depth, and like we stop there. But like, what's to say that within like a million years, that there's like a whole different thing like below that we're just like, you know what, we've dug enough, fuck it, we're good.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting to me too, that thing about the oceans. We know less about the bottom of the ocean than our solar system, for instance, or whatever. And of course, there could be a lot of stuff underneath the ocean that we just don't know about. So that I'm kind of just trying to paint a picture here that when people defend science, you know, the academic science viewpoint on our history, it's cool. Because kind of, you know, scientists are just like, we're sticking to what we've known, but I think you have to leave some space open for other shit. You know what I mean? This isn't the end of the story, and at any point we could find something that's. But
wasn't there recently? Wasn't there recently with like Homo naledi? I think it was like that was recently discovered or like found like a few years ago. And that's through like a massive spanner in the works, because it sort of creates an entire like thing, I say thing, but like human creature that has to fill in a gap now somewhere where they have to be like, hang on a second, like you know,
what is this now?
Shit
and the lady was found here in South Africa, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. I think it was somewhere in Central South Africa.
But yeah, exactly. And those people, they don't like change. Old people that are heads of departments at big universities, obviously. So people have to fight for years to get their
Because what you discover is what you discover. Because you want to sit there and be like, I'm the last one that found it, la 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 la. And then when you get proven wrong, then you become a bitch, and you're like, I don't want to be proven wrong.
Yes, Dries is here saying that Neanderthals still exist in the White House.
Yeah, I saw that.
Nice. But anyway, I think we can just go on. I wrote down a note here. It was from a New York Times article that was updated on the 29th of Jan of this year. And they say scientists have been studying the genetic diversity of living Africans since the 1970s. And as it became possible to sequence more DNA, the additional data revealed that the genetic variation among living Africans was much greater than that among the rest of the world combined, which is pretty interesting. But this insight made it clear that our species arose in Africa and stayed there for most of its history. Small groups of people expanded out to give rise to non-African populations. But I mean, we've wasted a bit of time now. That's basically the
Just to go back to that, do you have any idea why there was like these movements? Was it just tribalism? Was it like we have to move for our own safety? Like why the move?
Yeah, I'm not sure anyone would know. I mean, it would.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. It is speculation.
Yeah, well, it would be easy to posit that it's climate change, maybe, but it will come down to speculation for sure. But that's actually why I think the DNA thing is quite interesting. You know, it's a lot more, or in my mind at least, it's it's more reliable than oral or just kind of stuff we found in the ground kind of shit. Do you mind playing the Graham Hancock video? Because I think we can just go straight there. I mean, the other stuff is fine, but I think we've made our point.
Okay, that's cool. And I'm down with you. Like I'm following what you're putting down, because obviously I'm with you. Like I know I come across as being stupid dumb. Like I know it. No, but I mean, the stuff is really interesting, and it's obviously super high grade, and it's nice to learn.
In 1995, the notion of a lost civilization was not a new idea. That notion has been around for a very long time.
Okay, you just want to pause. I'll just set this up quickly.
Okay, wait, the truth about Atlantis, okay?
Which sounds provocative, right? But
it does. I'm done for merman.
Yeah, Graham Hancock to me is quite an interesting cat. I mean, I think he's pretty level-headed, and he's never posited ancient aliens or anything like that, but he kind of thinks that he has evidence to prove that around 10,000 BC, a meteor hit the ice caps in North America, and that created a massive flood. And that's kind of where all the most of the world's histories and religions, they all have the flood myth in there. You know what I mean? It's the most common shared story.
Oh wait, so is that like a thing that goes from religion to religion? I didn't know that. I'm not really like clued up on that.
Yeah, it'll be like the Aboriginals have a flood myth, but so do the Babylonians, and so do the Hopi.
Obviously,
Indians.
Christianity has one. Yeah, well, okay, it makes sense.
Sure, which is based on the Judaism one. Islam, Christianity, and Judaism, they share kind of the Torah, as far as I understand,
cool.
the First Testament. But it's also in the Hindu Vedas. It's just and in the Chinese religions and whatever. The flood myth permeates basically every culture. But yeah, let's watch it.
Thousands of years. The most famous example.
All right, hang on. Let me just make it big again. I'll let it go small.
Is Plato, the Greek philosopher Plato, who gave us the story of Atlantis. From Plato comes the story of Atlantis, a great advanced civilization which had navigating and seafaring skills, which could explore the world, which built gigantic buildings, which had advanced knowledge in every area, which was prosperous and powerful. But then Plato says that corruption crept into this society, that it became cruel and avaricious, it became greedy, it began to impose its power around the world. And he has a very ringing phrase. He said that Atlantis ceased to wear its prosperity with moderation. And the suggestion is that it's this hubris, this conceit of Atlantis, that it had become so sure of itself that somehow the universe struck it down, and we have the cataclysm of flood and disaster, and that Atlantis is submerged beneath the waves. Now, of course, the view of historians and academics is that Plato's story is just made up. He just made it up to make some political or philosophical point. But this cannot be so. That view can't be right. I was very suspicious of that view the first time I heard it from a mainstream historian. Why are they saying that Plato made this up? Plato repeatedly states that it is a true story. And as we look into it further, we find something else, that Plato puts a date on the destruction of Atlantis. He says Atlantis was submerged beneath the waves in a huge global cataclysm 9,000 years before the time of Solon. That gives us an absolute date for this. We know Solon, we know who he was. Solon was a famous Greek lawmaker. He was an ancestor of Plato, as a matter of fact, about 200 years before Plato. And around 600 BC, Solon, the great Greek lawmaker, made a visit to Egypt. And in Egypt, the priests at a temple of Sais in the Delta told him the story of Atlantis, and they said that it was written on the walls of the temple.
No,
and he said, when did this happen?
It's not boring, because you know what it is though. Like, obviously this stuff is incredibly like this interests the shit out of you, but I find it incredibly like difficult to comprehend, because it's so much information that like I've never thought about, because I've never really gone, you know, this is something that I think is real, or like is happening in the world, or happened rather in the world. And I find it vastly interesting. So I sort of get the idea that you're coming from. I don't know if you want to quickly tackle that thing that was on screen. Is this something you want to chat about at all?
I just didn't want to forget it, because it's a pretty interesting topic.
Just finish chatting about your Graham Hancock thing. Then we can move on to that question and move on from there.
Yeah, look, I actually think that London Reel is a great interview if you want to check out Graham Hancock stuff. Basically, what I'm taking from Graham Hancock is that the idea of a previously advanced civilization is not that strange if you keep it in realistic terms. You know what I mean? He's not saying they were fucking aliens or anything like that. He's just saying that Plato might have been right, because there have been lots of lost cities that were believed to be myths that have actually been found, you know. So
I got you. Yeah,
Atlantis, Plato's Atlantis, could just be what it is, you know. You know what I'm saying? It fascinates me though, because like, you know, my understanding about Atlantis was like, okay, like I always thought it was like this absolute myth. Obviously, like a lot of people told Plato, get nicked, son, it's all a myth. But it's incredibly interesting that like the flood thing is something that I didn't know about. That's I'm learning. You're actually teaching me, which is what we want. Do you want to quickly tackle? What is this like thing? Is like, and it's a good question from Brendan. At what point in time did consciousness emerge in humans then? Yeah, well, I mean, obviously we.
And also, sorry to interrupt you. Yeah, consciousness is also a very weird thing to jot down, because what is consciousness? I'm not trying to be like philosophical about the question now, because
exactly
consciousness can be many things.
Yeah, we don't even know how to properly define it. You know, so it's kind of hard to look for it in ancient bones. You know what I'm saying?
So
how do you qualify consciousness? But I mean, we can think about something like art. You know, I don't know if humans would have, but there's something that Brendan Swart can check out if he wants. It's called the bicameral mind, which is quite an interesting. I'm not going to go into it now, but it's quite an interesting theory. Excuse me, on where consciousness came from. But like, just on our little reference page, they have here that earliest stone hand axes, right, is 1.7 million years ago in Tanzania, which is an insane amount of time. So, but I mean, do you think animals are conscious? You know, do you think?
Of course, of course, because I think that like the idea of consciousness, because a lot of people say consciousness is like directly linked with self-awareness. So like you can't be a real conscious thing if you're not self-aware. Like if you can't see something and be like, oh, that's me in the mirror, then you're good as meat. And that's a lot of people use that for like the argument of like why you can eat a cow, because a cow doesn't know it's a cow. It hasn't comprehended that fact. But obviously, I think most breathing things are conscious. They have a set way of surviving. So if you have set like sort of DNA programming to survive, you can't. I'm not saying like an amoeba. Like, hear me out for a second. I think there's a couple steps above that you have to do certain things to be conscious. You have to tick a certain few boxes. One of them being like the fight or flight sort of thing, the motherly instincts. All those like really small things build up to. That's my idea, at least. I could be absolutely wrong.
No, well, I mean, like we said, we don't really know how to define it, but I just like this stuff like earliest notation that they found. People making deliberate marks on something is actually in South Africa in Lebombo Mountains. They found bones with marks on it, and that's 57,000 years ago. And the earliest jewelry made from threaded beads is 75,000 years ago. And that's pretty interesting, because why would you wear jewelry if you're not self-conscious,
Yeah, okay, well, there's another thing that's incredibly important. I just wanted to quickly harp. Tian wrote this here, is like, your circumstances can have a material impact on the perspective of what consciousness actually is, which does make incredibly huge sense, because like you said, and I think we touched on this slightly with that ancient aliens thing that we did with UFOs and stuff, is everyone's circumstances were like quite similar, and like people did a lot of like certain things to show respect to like the gods that they believed in as such, or their ancestors as such. So that's why I think that it's all sort of is linked in some way or shape or form.
What is linked? Everyone.
Consciousness. Consciousness, and like the idea of you saying is like, and your circumstances are intrinsically linked to each other, is what is written there. So where you are and what you have. Yeah, I'm absolutely agreeing with what Tian just wrote there. That seems like legit. Yeah, we're 32 minutes in, and I think you need to move over to actually telling me what the fucking out of place artifact is, or some examples of.
Yeah, let's go for it. 3A, Iron Pillar of Delhi.
I love how you've said 3A, because you sent me like a whole annotated list with actual things. It's wonderful. Okay, what is the Iron Post of Delhi? Before we get into this, like, what the hell are we looking at here? Okay, this is a 10-minute long video. We are not going to be watching 10 minutes of this.
No. You can just show the fucking picture. It's just basically
this is the.
It's basically a pillar in Delhi that doesn't rust. It's like freaking old, and it hasn't rusted like any kind of iron alloy that we can make now. So they suspect that it's some kind of high technological alloy that is for some reason just not rusting like anything that we know. So I mean, it is an out of place artifact because they can't explain why it's not rusting.
So wait, hang on. Like, now, quick question. Like, I see this pillar, like, all good. I check it. He obviously explains, like, so they've actually taken pieces of this thing and like tested it under microscope, and like, and they're going, the actual composition of this thing is 100% iron. Like, it is.
No. There, because it's been dated to 1,600 years old. And there he explains to you how rust works and whatever. No, so basically it's a mystery how people at that age could actually make something like that,
Yeah. Okay, well, this thing doesn't rust. So what you're telling me is they have a pole made of iron that doesn't rust. So,
I mean, it's interesting. It's not mind-blowing, but it is interesting. Q20,
no, it's not.
Maybe.
Yeah, where Q20 outweighs actual ownership of iron. Then I'm not even going to attempt for a second to try and pronounce what the hell that is. What
Kumbaya.
The hell? Kumbaya.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, it's Aztec maybe, but basically, I don't know. If people are fans of Ancient Aliens, they've definitely seen these before. And this is basically, do you know that guy?
Right, hang on. But if you've watched a single episode of Ancient Aliens, the amount of times they say Von Daniken in like a single episode is ridiculous.
But he's that like, other motherfucker's like main man. But yeah, but anyway, it's these little fucking plain brooches.
Which were made by
that they found a lot of
3,000 years ago.
A
few of these fascinating artifacts have become popularly known as the Kimbaya aeroplanes, and for good reason. Not only have these wonderful artifacts almost single-handedly ignited an interest in ancient astronaut theory within millions of people who've come into contact with them, but they also clearly resemble flying craft of our modern age. Now displayed within the Smithsonian Institute, there is one in particular, now known as the Columbia Jet, that has captivated many a great mind over the decades. The Smithsonian's account, placed beneath the ancient artifact, states that the gold artifact is nothing but a mere stylized insect from the Kimbaya culture. This small golden model, only about 2 inches in length and made of solid 22-karat gold, was initially discovered within an ancient tomb. When first catalogued, it was assessed as a zoomorph, or animal-looking. However,
but I mean, we don't need to watch all of this, bro.
Yeah, okay. I like that. Like, okay, look, because it meets the criteria. Like, I'm a very big fan of the Ancient Aliens theory, so I'm already down with that. But again, is it one of those things? When I was looking at that, I was like, look, maybe it also you could at a push say like fish. Like you could be like, that looks like a fish.
I don't know if really. Yeah, I don't know if it looks like. I'm just getting another beer.
Oh, so you're just gonna leave me here alone to just entertain the masses?
Yeah, got to hear me. The masses, yeah, nice. No, well, I mean, it doesn't look like anything very natural to me. You know what I'm saying? But of course, there is something like artistic interpretation and whatever. But I think they did it with those where guys actually put motors. You know what I mean? They took those little brooches.
Oh yeah,
and they made them bigger.
Yeah.
And it was like aerodynamically sound or fucking whatever. But we can move through these quite quickly if you want, man.
If you put a big enough motor on anything, it'll fucking fly. Like, I mean, let's not be. If you look, that is a weak ass excuse. Like, I get you.
Interesting are your dad should know the flat wings and the tail. You know what I mean? That thing that is pretty essential for aircraft as we know it. And I mean, that's about 1000 CE, so that's about 1,000 years ago. And I mean, as far as we know, the Marx brothers were the first people to fly, right?
I believe it's the Wright brothers. The Marx brothers. I think they're a comedian troupe, aren't they? The brothers Marx. Or I guess you might be talking about like Karl Marx, the inventor of Marxism. Anyway, the next one is the Sakara bird. Sakara bird.
You would have seen these on Ancient Aliens as well.
But Ancient Aliens are big fans of obviously this out of place artifact story.
Yeah, no, completely.
It was here.
Okay, where's a picture of this bugger thing?
Archaeologists unearthed an ancient tomb containing the burial remains of Pardi Eamon, an official from the 3rd century BC. Among the various items discovered was a small wooden...
Well, that is a bird, bro. Bro, they carved a bird. Like, okay, why is this out of place? It's a bird.
There's, like, on the tail, there's actually a piece missing, and that's also... It's actually supposed to be like a little stabilizer. And so what they've been saying is that this was just a small-scale model of big gliders that they built and catapulted to glide on the hot air pockets of the Egyptian land.
Okay, this one, I liked. Look, I know it was like you said, it was boring. I was a big fan of the pole. Those other ones. Yeah, you're saying?
Right?
No,
birds' wings.
this is the least fun one. But like this one, I'm gonna call this one here as a push.
Okay.
The iron, the non-rusted iron one, bang, like that one bangs. But like that one is like how the shit doesn't this thing rust? I get that. The Kiambaya Jets things banging. Sacra Bird. That one could suck nuts, dude. That one's not. That one, you've now unconvinced me.
It's a toy.
You've unconvinced me. The mystery of 24 alien black boxes.
Look, the alien is a little misrepresentative. I don't know how would you say that.
Well, I was not playing.
But so this is just quite interesting because it's these fucking random big ass black fucking boxes that they found in the tombs at the pyramids, and they just don't know what it's for. You know, it's not a tomb. It's got no sort of.
What do you know what they're made out of?
Attitude.
Oh shit! Okay, they're pretty big, dude.
Yeah, but so actually, there you see a picture of Christopher Dunn, and something that you can check out is he wrote a book, Giza Power Plants or whatever, and he's pretty convinced that the pyramids were actually power plants, and only later
I've heard that.
Appropriated as tombs.
What did they say? Like that what comes out of it? CO2. Carbon.
Sure,
no, I think that they said like because at the top of the pyramids is like CO2 vents. Yeah, no, but what they were trying to do is like they'd fire it into space. Legitimately, like this is again like theories that they'd fire it into space, and then like people would sit like the aliens would harvest it like in the atmosphere as it's leaving because they had the technology. I remember that. No, but it was. They're like, yeah, bro. Like they said that, bro. You sitting here showing me pictures of a damn bird, and you trying to say I must be impressed by that. Bullshit. What I'm saying is,
I don't know. Those big black boxes are impressive to me.
No. No, I'm with you again. The Sacra Bird, like that one, that you put that one at the halfway mark, and that one, I don't know. I'm not buying that one. That one was a bit of bullshit. There's one that I saw here that you sent that I'm like dead interested in. It's coming up in a couple. But now, what is the this one over here is? So this is the one. Somebody put this in the chat earlier. Sorry, I just want to see if I can find it. It is saying like, how did we like build shit and we didn't have the tools for it? Like somebody wrote in the chat like way up. I don't know where it is.
Yeah,
now.
No, I got you. No, that's always what they say. Like, you know, in Ancient Aliens, they're like, we couldn't have built the pyramids or whatever. You know.
Yeah, got you. Sorry.
Hey, Dwayne. But this one is quite interesting to me. Because,
the shift disc.
People were saying things like the Egyptians didn't have the wheel or whatever. But I mean, look at that motherfucker. It's an airplane steering wheel, I reckon.
Yeah, bro. Or it's some sick mags for some guy's wagon. What is it made out of?
Dude, I don't know.
I wonder if it's ceramic. It sort of looks ceramic.
No, it's made out of some extremely brittle metal, I think.
Oh, okay. It's a fragile metamorphic
clay,
rock.
Oh, you're right. It's made from clay. But people say it's a ceramic incense holder, but I'm not too sure about that.
Okay, that one's pretty rad as well. So, like, this is in Egypt now again. So now we have to ask the question, like, where the fuck does this come from? Okay, that one again. Sacra Bird let you down a little bit.
It's cool, bro. I'm not fucking. It's not a competition.
It is, bro. You're supposed to be convincing me here.
We're getting there.
I want to be convinced. I want to leave this tonight and not sleep because I'm going to be like, shit, there are definitely things in this world.
I need to do more research than this then. Well, this is the Antikythera mechanism, which is pretty dope.
What is an Antikythera?
It was found. No, I think that's the place where they found it. But this thing is basically like an old school computer. that calculated the movement of the stars.
They started to pull up the objects from this wreck, and it was an absolutely stunning find. Nobody expected this. There was nothing else had been found like this.
When do they date this to, give or take?
It's quite extreme.
Let me see.
A mathematical way of doing it. Quite unbelievable. The person who designed this was a genius of the highest order, in my view. It is quite extraordinary. And it's such a unique object. It's so important. It's just absolutely critical.
2,000 years ago.
2,000?
Yeah. So about Jesus' age, I guess.
But you see, like, that's pretty impressive because of the machining on this thing. Like, if you look at the cogs and stuff, right? And, like, the way the machining on this thing, that's pretty goddamn impressive. Like,
Yeah, man. But, the thing is that people have never been dumber than us in general. You know what I mean? Like, Homo sapiens have always been as smart as we are. And what the fuck did we do for 70,000 years? Look at what we did in 2000.
Yeah, dude, like, now that you mention that, I guess it is also like perspective, because, I mean, technology and globalization. This one was one that I was really interested in. This is the one that I wanted you to explain to me. So I'm going to go watch the fridge while you explain it before I scroll down, because now I need a beer.
God damn it.
Speak. Sorry.
All good. This was actually just as a intro to something else. I love these guys, the Mysterious Universe guys. For anyone that's interested in this kind of shit, I would definitely tune you oaks to fucking sign up, because they're much better at this podcast shit than I am. But they're basically just saying that there are lots of stories.
I think you're good. I think you're really good at this podcasting thing, to be honest.
You are the best at radio.
Thank you.
And this is basically radio. And you look good too.
No, you do. Stop.
I just want to read you a little thing over here. I just want to read you this shit, man. So in 100 BC, there is an account scrawled upon papyrus and later described by the Arab philosopher Iamblichus, which tells of an expedition of explorers who sought access to the underground chambers under Giza, and during their adventure came across these eternal flames. According to Iamblichus, the report read, "We came to a chamber. When we entered, it became automatically illuminated by light from a tube being the height of one man's hand and thin, standing vertically in the corner. As we approached the tube, it shone brighter. The slaves were scared and ran away in the direction from which we had come. When I touched it, it went out. We made every effort to get the tube to glow again, but it would no longer provide light. In some chambers, the light tubes worked, and in others, they did not. We broke open one of the tubes, and it bled beads of silver-colored liquid that ran fastly around the floor until they disappeared between the cracks." And it does sound like mercury. As time went on, the light tubes gradually began to fail, and the priests removed them and stored them in an underground vault they specially built southeast of the plateau. It was their belief that the light tubes were created by Imhotep, would someday return, blah, 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 blah. But I mean, that was just kind of interesting to me. That old fucking description, that's describing mercury coming out of a fucking tube.
What's one thing that also, like, Hugo Olivier in the chat just points saying, it's quite small there, but he says the ancient Egyptian civilization spanned such a long time that it's not unlikely that they could design and invent crazy shit. During the reign of Cleopatra and the Giza pyramids were already ancient. She actually lived close to our time than when the pyramids were built. You don't think about that.
Yeah.
Like the fact that, like, Cleopatra is literally closer to us than she is to the actual build of the pyramids, which I think is madness. Like that,
it's
not
crazy,
saying because you sort of put like they were building the pyramids while Cleopatra was knocking about, busy doing things with Mark Antony and whatever the case is. Well, that's how I think.
Imhotep. And then my favorite one is probably the next one, bro.
Is it the Baghdad battery? Is that the one you? So, like, I also saw this one. So this one here got, like, these two in a row were the ones, like, you're gonna have to explain this shit to me because I'm not sure. Okay, I'll put it in at least. Why the electric battery was forgotten? Is that the one?
Answers in Genesis. No. Just Google a picture, maybe, because it's basically a battery.
The Baghdad battery.
Yeah.
Baghdad battery. All right. Here we go. Oh, I've seen this thing before.
So it's a fucking battery, and they've actually remade it, and it generates about a volt of electricity. And I mean, we think of electricity being invented in the 1800s, maybe.
Yeah, was the old
these motherfuckers
Tesla
had a...
How? Like, I've seen oaks obviously sitting there and like they like plug in a thing of metal into a potato and then it like lights a light up for like 5 minutes. That's what I know. Sorry. Hugo's out here killing it at the moment. The Baghdad battery. Yeah. kill a bad name. I love it, dude.
It is.
That is
bombs over Baghdad.
Yeah. And then there's one more that you had over here, the Egyptian Dandera light bulb.
Yeah, like, now this is one of those.
What the living hell is this?
Pretty dark.
It's just I don't know, bro. Right? So, I mean, what does it look like to you?
Well, that looks like a wall.
Really hot as well.
Yeah. No, I mean the fucking that thing.
To get to see these.
It does look like a modern light bulb kind of to me, you know what I mean? The pieces, but obviously there's some other explanations for it. But to me, the combination of the Baghdad battery and the picture of that thing, I'm pretty sure they could use electricity, you know?
Yeah, of course. I just want to say that the whole stream is loving the fact that you can, like, you have your entire forehead covering your camera. It looks awesome. Right. So moving into the whole thing now, right? So like we wanted to say, you were supposed to be out there to convince me or whatever. Like, I get it, bro. Like, there has to be. Humans aren't dumb, bro. Like, let's not. Like you said, now what we did in such an amount of time, versus, like what we've done in. Let's just say 100 years, dude. Let's say from like not 100, 120, from the year 1900 to now, is ridiculous.
Yeah, I would go about 1800. I mean, our industrial revolutions, I think, that was kind of 1800s until now. Right?
I just went 1900s because I'm just going 1900 because like of everything that flies. Like the reason is like I'm just going to use flight as like the one big thing for humans because flight.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, space travel, just general normal flight, all that kind of stuff, and there has to be things that have been lost in time. Where I mean, the one thing that humans aren't really good at until like sort of there's a very certain era where humans started becoming good, maybe around the invention of fucking reading and writing, but we
what's
became
interesting to me.
Yeah.
No, what's interesting to me about reading and writing is that in some way it's actually worse technology than remembering something. You know, with oral traditions. Like the Aboriginals actually accurately trace their like oral tradition works until 10,000 years ago, kind of thing. You know what I mean? And
no, but that's if you want to it's the same as you could almost go as far as arguing that reading and writing is the current day fucking Googling shit, because you don't physically need to. You physically don't need to have knowledge anymore. You don't need to have knowledge. Well, yeah, because the thing is, like, why do I need to learn something if I can go online and Google it? Like, if I don't, you can ask me any damn question. I don't need to be a learned person to give you a decent answer.
Right.
No, I'm just saying, like, about anything in the world. Yeah, but that's that, and that's the same thing as like you said now.
If we want to remember something, we think to remember something we have to write it down, but that's not actually remembering it. You know what I mean? If you don't want to remember something, then you write it down. Because you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Is like the human mind, as much as it's like it's probably evolved in a way that we can take so much you know, we can learn how to like functionally do things. Our motor skills have probably gotten better than back in the day, and like, you know, the way we see things gotten better. But it's like Elizabeth says, oral tradition is incredibly important. The fact of like speaking and remembering shit is far more important than just being able to go, hey, I'm just going to open up Google and have all knowledge that I need at the tip of my fingers. Because that's why learn anymore. What's the point of actually learning?
But yeah, man, I actually wanted to come kind of make a full on turn back to that, but we might as well do it now. Like for me, if all of this, give it 20 more years of this shit where we don't have to remember anything and we don't know how to navigate without Google Maps and that kind of shit, and then someone cuts the cables and fucking kills all the smart people, no one's even going to know how to find north.
That is a very interesting point, because do you know how I know north? And I'm just going to use this as like a reference point. This is a really dumb way of knowing where like north is. And so now that you're sitting there thinking Duncan's going to go where the sun rises. No, bullshit, because it's not really in the east and the west in South Africa, because we're lower than the equator. But can I tell you how I know north and like basically north and south? Is where the highway is relative to my house.
Well, the highway won't be there, I think.
No, because it's the N1 south, right, or the N1 north. So I'm using that as my general basis. So if I go there and I turn left to go on the N1 south, that means that south is somewhere that way. Like, look, give or take about like 20 degrees. I mean, if I had to travel in the line I think is south, I'd probably end up in bloody Durban, which is like south east from here. But you know, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, where's Potch?
Southwest to, yeah. Sort of.
I actually wanted to ask you this question. Do you think robotics is like a modern concept?
The way in which you classified, yes. I believe AI is a modern one. Robotics, no. Like, I don't think it's that modern.
Yeah,
because,
like
couldn't you guys... Yeah, but yeah, couldn't you, anything like robotics is anything at, what's the black blood definition? Isn't it like anything that requires something else to work on like a scaled system? That's a robot. Like, I mean, you could even go as far as like the printing press is a robot. Anything that you can,
I gotcha.
You know, anything that you can program is essentially robotic.
Dude, I just found right. this extreme. I don't know either, but I'm not going to fact check you.
But then why did you ask me? I thought I was answering a question here to be like, yes.
I thought you were going to say yes, and then I could go no.
Oh, okay.
You were too smart for me. But no, I found this fucking interesting shit. Can I just read it to you?
Yeah, of course.
It goes like, so I don't know exactly where in history we are, but we're kind of at the Spartans kind of vibe. But I just pulled up Neuralink because I have a quote here by Elon Musk, which says, "With artificial intelligence, we are summoning the devil," which is pretty rich for a guy that owns Neuralink. Yeah.
Nice.
So I mean, Satanist, obviously.
Yeah. I'm trying to think now. You just said something that I completely.
Dude, just listen to this, okay? Nabis, Sparta's monarch from 207 to 192 BCE, invented a lifelike reproduction of his famously beautiful wife after her death, concealing it from public knowledge by making it a state secret. Dressed in regal robes, the replica was a mirror image of the deceased Apiga, controlled from a concealed nearby location by the king himself through hidden devices. Whenever a delinquent debtor was summoned to the palace, the deadbeat borrower was lavished with enough wine to inebriate his critical faculties, which might have otherwise detected any artificiality, then ushered into what the tipsy victim imagined was a private audience with the living Apiga. Her automated likeness seductively welcomed the unwary defaulter with open arms. But as soon as he entered her, they sprang shut and pressed him ever tighter. So this guy made a sex robot in like 200 years.
You just know that like as soon as like robotics even came into the forefront of anything, that was what like people were gonna do. Sex shit. Yeah. Like it's always like why? Like now, like it's the first thing, like we're getting to this point where we can make like robots and AI. The first thing that everyone is going on about, sex dolls. Like what the fuck is wrong with people?
Dude, there's also but there's so much stuff about robot warriors in the Greek tradition as well, from a previous civilization like Atlantis or whatever. But I think we're running out of time.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think? Do you think we should?
We can't keep saying we're going to come back to shit. We have to keep this going because I want to do it. I want to do a thing. I want to do again. We can discuss this obviously in our own personal time. You just got a fright there. I love it.
Dude, I'm so close.
That's. I'm very, very, very interested to do stuff about like robotics and whatever. But I'm also wanting to do one episode on something that we probably shouldn't, is politics. Because I want to get someone on the show. I want to get someone on the show that can explain like what the actual difference between left and right is. Like I want someone. I know it sounds ridiculous, but I want to get I want to start learning about this stuff by someone from maybe each end of the spectrum. If they start fighting on the show, fuck, it's money for us. I'm down to that. It's all good. But yeah,
I have so much shit here, but we can go through it. We can skip that. I actually just wanted to show you. I really wanted to show you 7A.
7A.
Yeah, not all ancient ideas were great.
Where
that was kind of my point I was coming to.
Okay, so not all 7A. Okay, I just read the title of it. What the fuck is wrong with you? What is your fucking problem, dude?
But dude, this is crazy because the CIA actually made they put a radio into a cat, and they might have got it from this idea. Like if you just scroll down, let me just get there.
Wow. That cats with jetpacks. I feel like having a tail for a cat would be the first problem that we'd find in the situation here.
This guy, Mitch Frost, a Pennsylvania-based researcher, translated some of this shit into this guy explaining how to make this thing. It's create a small sack like a fire arrow, but you would like to get at a town or castle. Seek to obtain a cat from that place and bind the sack to the back of the cat. Ignite it, let it glow well, and thereafter let the cat go. So it runs to the nearest castle or town, and out of fear it thinks to hide itself where it ends up in a barn or hay or straw, and it will ignite it.
That is without a doubt the worst idea in the history of mankind. Cats with jetpacks goes down as being some of the biggest bullshittery I've ever come across. I think that is all the time we have for tonight. The cats with jetpacks will be the end point for now. But before we go,
two more things. I want to tell you something else.
Oh, okay, yeah, of course.
Well, I'll just tell you. I don't know if you've heard of the Norway Doomsday Vault.
No.
It's actually just like a vault in the ice. It's the Norway Doomsday Vault's 8A.
Oh, yeah? Norway Doomsday Vault.
They are basically just storing all the seeds of all the plants in the world that they can find.
I've actually heard about that. I've heard about this, actually.
Kind of situation.
I've heard something like this.
Which is pretty interesting to me because it's kind of like the Noah's Ark story, you know?
Yeah, but with produce. And it is literally in the middle of goddamn nowhere.
But it's probably the coolest. They don't have to pay for air conditioning or whatever. So,
no, absolutely.
Yeah, I just think that idea is interesting.
This looks like the beginnings of one man's absolute evil lair.
Yeah. Well, it also looks like a cool movie. Who do you think? There are people that have to live there.
I'm sure, man. Look at these guys, and then they have to run down that whole. This is ridiculously cool, dude. I think we should share this thing on our. I'm going to share this on the Facebook page. Just going to copy that link over there. That's going to go on the Facebook page.
And then there's this guy, Freeman Dyson. I did send you a link, but we don't have to watch it. I just wanted to to kind of read you something just now. This guy is one of those futurist thinkers. You know, he just kind of thinks out of the box and thinks of what will be possible in the future, blah, blah, blah. What he's famous for actually is a thing called a Dyson sphere, which is something an advanced civilization would be able to build around the sun to harness its energy. You know what I mean? So he's thinking fucking outside the box. And he's got this thing called the Noah's Ark egg, which is an object like an ostrich egg, a few kilograms in weight, but instead of having a single bird inside, it has embryos, a whole planet's worth of species of microbes and animals and plants, each represented by one embryo. It's programmed then to grow into a complete planet's worth of life. So it will cost only a few $1 million for the egg and the launch, but you could have about 1,000 human beings and all of the life support and all the different kinds of plants and animals for surviving. The cost per person is only a few $1,000s, and it could be enlarge the role of life in the universe at an amazingly fast speed. But who says that hasn't happened before?
Yeah, that's a damn good point. The Noah's Ark egg. That concept is very out there.
Yeah, but check it out. I mean, we can maybe... Do you see that spectrum... I'll send it to you, whatever. But it is an interesting idea, because Dyson is like, we're a few 100 years away from that kind of technology. But it's possible.
I see this link. I'm just going to pop it up.
I see we're struggling to push to our own Facebook page.
Yeah, our Facebook page has just like decided that it's like, we're out of here, boys. Okay, so he has an interview with him. It's not loading now for some other reason.
That's just him, man. It's not going to be about the Noah's Ark egg. But anyway, I'm done. That was my point. Who says the Noah's Ark egg isn't how we got here, you know?
No, that's a very cool concept. But now listen, in closing, we've run out of time. We again went over our own time limit we set ourselves, which is classic, traditional here on the Huntz and Dunks unofficial podcast. But, okay. On the screen there, politics is getting Julius to wrestle Steelers in a tub of lube. I'm down with that. Like, I'll throw money in the kitty to get that to happen. I mean, you can support us on Patreon. We'll use all the Patreon money to get that to happen. But
people have been calling Julius irrelevant. Well, I think this might up his relevance again.
Yeah, absolutely. This will be the best. So what I wanted to get at quickly is we're going to have a giveaway after the show. And then at the next show, we'll actually give it away. We want you to go and like our page if you haven't already liked it. And we also want you to share the page and get your friends to like it, because we're bribing people to like our shit. Because that's how you get things done in social media nowadays, is bribery and corruption.
We want 1,000 followers, right? Is that our first vibe?
Yeah, 1,000. We're like on 500. 400. I don't know. We're there and thereabout. But we're gonna like the page, and like if you like the page and share the page, we're gonna do a little cheeky giveaway. Hunter, being from this lesser small band that exists in South Africa called Fuck Off Polisiecar, has done something awesome, and that he's organized us a complete bunch of gear. So like it's all the Fuck Off Lager stuff. So like if you want a sweet Fuck Off Lager hat, it's going to have beers in it, some sweet socks, a pretty goddamn decent shirt, that one, bag, and it's got all the jazz in. It's all the equipment you need to support South Africa's greatest rock ensemble.
I've been drinking that beer, though. I'll give you a new one.
Okay, so you'll get or he'll pull 6 of the empty bottles in, which would be pretty rad. But yeah, we're going to give away this entire package. I'll put the competition up probably this evening or tomorrow morning. It's going to be pretty straightforward. So, like, if you are watching, just share it for us. Like, get your mates to like the page. It's pretty straightforward. But there is something also missing from that, and I think it's the real kicker that we haven't showed is we're going to be giving away a Fuck Off Polisiecar Droomhoog LP. Like, I mean, when last did you have an LP? I mean, I don't even know if you own something to be able to play.
I don't even. How do vinyls work? We should have a whole episode on that. How does it work?
Fucking magnets. How do they work?
No, I mean, it's just a needle on this thing, and all of the sound comes out of it. I think
it's vibration. I think, or tracking or something. Ancient aliens. But that's basically it for. But that's basically it for the night. So we're going to put that shit up on the podcast page. Like it, share it, like the page. Get your friends to like the page. And when we get 1,000, I think I don't want to set a thing to say we'll only give this away if we have 1,000.
No. I just wanted to let the people know we're.
I just said. I just said like 1,000, but we'll give it away at the next podcast. I think the next one we should probably tackle politics. Right. I want to get a friend of mine in who deals with a lot of political stuff. I think it'll be cool. I think next one we need another person. Cool. We need to pivot off of that person. Anyway, from my side, it's been awesome. Thanks for joining us again. These have gone down like a homesick mole, by the way.
Damn it! Is that good?
That's the wrong way. There you go. Plumps.
What's a mole?
What's a mole?
Yeah.
Thanks a million.
A homesick mole.
A homesick mole, as in MOLE. Like a mole wants to go. Yeah. There's the saying. So if something goes down really like well and nice, it goes down like a homesick mole. If it goes down badly, like a shot of warm tequila or warm gin, it goes down like a pregnant pole vaulter. Not nice.
Nice.
All right.
Nice.
Anyway, from my side, goodbye.
I love you.
I love you too. We'll catch you later. Check you later, dude.
I'll talk to you now.
Wait, hang on. We're still live. Hang on. I forgot that we actually have like an actual like end of podcast thing. Hang on. 3, 2, 1, go.